Hey everyone, welcome back to the Whippy Studio. Today I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. I'm going to be talking with my friend Wyatt from the Wizard Dog channel about what we kind of want for Kings Island in the future, like some future predictions, but also talking about what we really like from there. So thanks for joining me, Wyatt.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So why don't we start with just, I guess, talking about like your experience with Kings Island, like when did you start going there, all that kind of stuff.
I started going there way before I can even remember. So, I don't really have like a first impression of the park because it's been probably over 10 years since the first time I went, so...
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of the same. I mean, we used to live close to Cincinnati, so it was kind of a staple, and we got season passes or like discounted passes from a friend at our church at that time. So it was just kind of made sense to go. So we did go a lot, but that was kind of around the time where the only things I could do were in playing at Snoopy. So I think I had like a whole different impression of the park now, like as a teenager, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, like that purple Great Pumpkin coaster?
Yeah, I remember that.
I rode that back to back, and I recently tried to ride it like a couple years ago, and I got told I was too tall, and I was very upset.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that sounds like a nightmare to try to ride that now. Because those things are like the smallest things I've ever seen for seats.
True.
Yeah, like I would never even attempt that. Like my legs would be like outside of the thing.
Well, if you have a kid though, like you have to ride it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just gotta condense your legs into that little seat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, Kings Island just announced last Thursday that they're adding a new water coaster called RiverRacers. It's gonna be like the first water coaster in Ohio, which I didn't even know that was the case, but I guess that's like their good way of like branding it. And it didn't make me think. Yeah, I guess they don't have any other water coasters in Ohio, and I didn't even realize that.
So, like, all the other ones are water slides, technically?
Yeah, technically considered water slides. I think the old beach water park had one, or something similar to it, but like a very early model, but this is like a newer model, this one.
Okay.
I know you said you're not really like a water park fan, which I totally get, to each their own. A lot of the roller coaster maniacs could care less about the water park. But, I mean, just regardless of that, do you think this is like a good addition to the water park?
I mean, I think any addition to the water park is probably a welcomed one, because I don't think they get many. Welcomed one to the people who enjoy the water park, which I think is a very slim majority of people who go to Kings Island, but I don't know.
Right. I think on very hot days is when Soak City is packed.
True.
Which makes sense because it's hot out, and that's just where people go. So one thing I have noticed in recent years when I've gone is just how crowded it is and how the restaurants there all suck. Like, and the quality of it, and it's like not the nicest water park by any means. So I was happy when they said they would be updating it, and adding this coaster. I definitely think it's time that they add something new. So I am looking forward to that. It will make me want to go to Soak City, not like as much as like the actual Kings Island Park itself, but I think it'll be good for that area to give like kids something more to do, and it will probably be good capacity because it'll be like it's like a double slide, so like a racing one.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to fit twice as many people on it as like a normal slide, I guess.
I'm going to be shocked at the marketing. It was like, hey, guys, we put the racer in the water park now.
That's funny, dude.
That would be good marketing. Six Flags should hire me. I have zero marketing experience. You should hire me.
You could like do like an internship.
Yeah.
However that works. But the one concerning thing is that like they're expecting like people to carry their tubes all the way up all those stairs, which is interesting.
I mean, in all fairness, you do that at other water parks too. I've done that before.
Yeah, That's true. I mean, I feel usually the water coasters they have like a conveyor belt that they take like the rafts or the tubes up. So, but you know they could easily add one. I'm sure there'll be people complaining about having to drag their tube like up 5 stories of stairs, but that's just how people are.
And that'd be fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like just like kind of like searching for a complaint. It's that type of thing. Like,
there are starving children in Africa.
yeah, and people are complaining about dragging a tube like for
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. That's actually a good point.
First world problems right here.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that'll be good for the water park. So I guess the next thing to think about for Kings Island, I mean, you know, they have this going in, and they're also adding like a little new kid area with some slides at the water park too. So I guess 2025 is going to kind of be like the Soak City upgrade year. You know, this year 2024 was like the Planet Snoopy. They upgraded it a lot.
Yeah.
And then the year before was they did Adventureport, added some stuff in there, a new restaurant, all of that. So, you know, the past couple of years, what I do like is that they kind of focused on the areas that were lacking a bit. You know, Adventureport, that area definitely needed something. There wasn't much there. It was Planet Snoopy, it was time for an upgrade. Soak City definitely needed an upgrade. So I do appreciate that they're doing kind of like the smaller things before adding in a new coaster, because people are very impatient for one. But I think it's good for the park that they're kind of adding in stuff to like these areas before they work on that. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the new coaster, you know, I think a lot of people think they'll go where Vortex went. That'll probably be the next one. Do you have any like type of coaster you would want to see or anything in that plot?
I would love to personally see an RMC. Don't know the chances of getting one, which if you don't know what an RMC is, it's a stands for Rocky Mountain Construction, is a company that builds, they basically like take wooden coasters and kind of like remake them into a lot more fun and less rough roller coasters. And so getting like a completely new RMC would actually be kind of rare. So I don't know if that will happen because they're more known for remodeling stuff. But I would personally love to see an RMC at Kings Island, but that's probably a long shot.
So it would be another wooden ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
What they're most known for.
Yeah, you know, I've seen things like RMC and how unlikely it is to get one. But what I do know is that they look really cool, and it would be something like totally new for the park.
Have you ever ridden one?
I don't even know, dude. I don't think so. Have you?
I have ridden multiple ones. So Cedar Point has Steel Vengeance, which is my favorite roller coaster of all time. Let's see here. Busch Gardens in Tampa has, I think, Iron Gwazi. That's also a really good one. And those are both done by RMC. They're like really fun, but they are also really intense rides.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I'd recommend it if you can get to Sandusky or Tampa. Definitely try and go to either Cedar Point or Busch Gardens. Both of those parks are really good, and they both have an RMC. So
yeah, I mean Cedar Point's on my bucket list to eventually go and ride all those rides, because it looks like they have like a lot of really good ones there.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So an RMC would be like a wishful pick, maybe not necessarily realistic, is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm trying to think. You know, the Vortex plot, because of how many inversions there were, it's not like a super spacious area. You know, because the inversions make it more packed into a smaller area. It's not like a super like drawn out. So I see a lot of people saying like they'll do something with a lot of inversions there. I don't really know what that would look like. Do you have any guesses?
I mean, maybe like a more compact wing coaster. I don't know like how viable that would be around that area, but I think a wing coaster would be really cool.
Well, yeah, because I do really like Thunderbird at Holiday World. That's a really fun ride. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
and wait, go ahead.
I was trying to think of the ride at Cedar Point. Oh, Gatekeeper. That's also like a really good wing coaster. I would love like I would love to see something like I would love the entirety of Cedar Point to be an hour closer to my house. No, I'm kidding. Uh, but I think Kings Island would definitely benefit from like a wing coaster, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because wing coasters are a totally different like feel and experience than like anything that Kings Island has at the moment. So yeah, I would personally like a wing coaster. Now I don't know if that would be in the Vortex plot or whatnot. That's just such a tricky area. I just don't know what they're gonna put there. Again, the Vortex had like a lot of inversions, so I don't know if they'll do something similar or I don't know. It's definitely something to ponder about. I just assume that will most likely be where they put the next one. Would you agree, or do you have like a different thought?
Yeah, probably that area. I mean, they recently put Orion there as well, and that area definitely could use a little bit more development, I would say. So
Yeah, I would say.
definitely worth coming on.
Yeah, I would say it is kind of like lacking that area of the park a bit.
Yeah.
Not like, not like super bad. But I would like to see something there. It's just the question of what. Another possible thing is I see a lot of people saying that in Vertigo they could like take that out as well as the Congo Falls water ride right there.
There are insane people who like in Vertigo, though. I feel like that would be a controversial decision. I don't know.
It would be, but I mean, select people really liked Vortex and Firehawk too, and they took those out. So like,
Oh yeah.
um, people like what they like. There are a lot of people who like in Vertigo. I'm personally not like a huge fan of it. It's not like a bad ride, but I'm not like mega obsessed with it. Um, so I mean, I could maybe see something there because there are some parks that have like a really cool like ride, like a front entrance type of coaster.
Yeah, I mean Cedar Point. How many times is this guy going to mention Cedar Point in this video? But no, Cedar Point has like Gatekeeper, which I don't know if you've seen that or not. It's basically a ride that goes like through the gate of Cedar Point, like where you enter and get your tickets and stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen it in person, but I've definitely seen pictures of it. Yeah, I mean, that does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see them maybe that could be like a potential new spot if they're willing to get rid of Vertigo. I mean, I definitely think that's gonna happen at some point. It's just the question of when. I don't think. I think first they'll put in the Vortex thing, and they'll wait a while for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible they could put in a wing coaster right there. Like,
I mean, just copy what they did at Cedar Point.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible whether they do that or not. I don't know.
A standing coaster would also be interesting because I know SeaWorld just put in a standing coaster not too long ago. SeaWorld Orlando.
Yeah, I saw that, and that looks like actually a really cool ride.
I rode it when I was in Orlando, and I thought it was okay. But, I mean, Kings Island used to have a standing coaster, and they got rid of it. It was like King Cobra or something like that.
Yeah.
Standing coaster could also be something they bring back. I don't know.
Yeah. Because, that could go in any certain spot. So when it comes to, like, coasters kind of, like, that could be removed in the next 10 years or so. I mean, I definitely think in Vertigo is a possibility. They could get that out of there.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm trying to think what else. I mean, right now the Bat still runs fine overall, so I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, that is an area where Son of Beast used to be. That is definitely an area that could also use some development because the Bat is just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Like you have to walk so far back in the park to get to it.
Yeah.
They should put something else back there as well. It's kind of an awkward area.
Yeah, especially for such a small ride, short ride, I should say.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like maybe that should be taken out. But again, I think when I've been on it, it still runs fine overall. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a good starter coaster. I will say that. If you're kind of just getting into coasters, I would say like that should be your first one to start with.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do like it for that, but personally, I would be fine with it being taken out. Now that probably will still be a while till they do something like that. But there's definitely a great space over there for something like a bigger coaster. Probably not like how Son of Beast was, but like something maybe your RMC, your dream RMC could go over there. I don't know. We'll see. As far as other stuff that could be taken out, I don't know about how. Do you know how old Adventure Express is? Like roughly. I mean, obviously it's been there for a little bit.
I think it's been there since the 70s. Probably, I think it's been there since around the park opened. I can look it up really quick, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I'm not a fan. I don't know many people who are a fan of that one. Of course, that you can't do a whole lot with, like, that area when it comes to a coaster. It would have to be something, like, small. If they
it was way off. It was opened in 1991.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was there since, like, the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, would you be fine with Adventure Express leaving, or?
Yeah, that wouldn't really hurt my feelings that much. But I don't think they're gonna do that anytime soon because they just redid like the entrance and stuff to kind of be more in theme with that adventure port area. So I highly doubt they're gonna do that anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think if they were gonna to chop it, they would have just chopped it instead of updating it.
Yeah.
But even with the updates, I still don't care for the ride.
Yeah.
It's still mega rough, and it feels like you're literally riding. Like, it feels like your body's on the track almost, which is how low you feel.
What kills me all the time is when I ride the ride. There's always, like, one group of people that are just screaming the entire time, doing it ironically. It's just... It's kind of funny. Like, that's the only redeeming part of that ride for me.
Which isn't really even enough to get me to want to ride it, personally.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So yeah, personally not a fan of that one, but I don't think they're getting rid of that. I think the Bat and Vertigo would be more likely to go. I don't know how far out that is. But we'll see. I mean, I see a lot of people complaining about Kings Island not having something like world class. I mean, you know, they have the Beast. So I don't really understand exactly what they're saying. I mean, sure, there's like certain types that they don't have, but I think they have a great lineup. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those, like, that's one of those things that people are just like picking at, like trying to find something to complain about. Because I'm not like itching for a new roller coaster at the moment. Like, because they have so many good ones that, like, I mean, sure, there are things that I would like to see, but it's not like I'm getting impatient for a new coaster. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, a new roller coaster within, like, the next 2 or so years would be nice. But I think also, like, if you are wanting every single coaster in existence, like, you can just go up to Cedar Point. It's in the same state.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if you live in Cincinnati, going from, you know, the bottom of Ohio to the top of Ohio is I think it's like probably a 5-hour drive. It's not great, but I mean, if you want the same experience somewhat close.
I mean, yeah, from what I've seen at Cedar Point, they had like the kind of like the whole deal with rides. So, and Kings Island doesn't have to be that. In fact, I'm glad that they're not. It differentiates them. But for what Kings Island does have, they have a great selection. So I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Really? No, go ahead. You're the guest.
I was just gonna point out the fact that Kings Island is more themed than Cedar Point is.
Okay.
So.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't know that, but yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think we kind of covered a lot of good stuff. But I think the overall message here is that, like, we're not itching. I mean, I think maybe we're itching for another coaster, but we're not to the point where like we're impatient about it because again, they've done a lot to update certain areas of the park the last couple of years to make things more enjoyable. Now, I do think maybe some updates like around the Vortex old spot, like you said, could be good. That could definitely use it. As well as maybe taking the bat out, putting something new there. But again, those are things that like are a long way out, I think.
Yeah.
So as far as like the immediate future, I would say probably that they'll get a new coaster, maybe either 2026 or 2027 is my guess that they'll put their next one in. I don't know what you think, but that sounds right to me.
Yeah, I would say probably 2027.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, they put in a lot of money into things, like Adventureport, and then the new Snoopy ride, and then I assume it's a chunk of money for this new water coaster that maybe 2026 will be like a light year, to prepare for 2027 where they'll put something new in.
Yeah.
That's my guess because let me do the math in my head. It opened in 1972, the park did. So that would mean, they just celebrated 50 years like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
So that would be their 55th anniversary. So, I mean, that, that has some significance. They could definitely put something new in then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we'll have to wait till like 2030 to get one. I think it'll be in the next few years.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's kind of all we wanted to talk about. Just kind of give our thoughts. I mean, I love Kings Island as a park. I think it's really good. Again, I like that it's definitely very family friendly. And they definitely did more of that with updating Camp Snoopy and and the water park is like meant to be somewhere that like when the kids are getting tired of like that they can go over the water park, tired of like the rides in the regular park, so they go there. So I mean, I'm glad that they're updating that as well. But anything else you want to say before we close?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me. You can go check out Wyatt's channel. It's Wizard Dog. He does like the most random type of videos ever. It's wild, and he gets a lot of interesting comments on them, to say the least. So go leave an interesting comment on one of his videos. And so we'll be back sometime to talk about something new, and we'll see you then. Bye, everyone.